CFP, and then I am retiring, as you noted, but I'll be a big fan of the 12 team event when it starts 11 months from now.
You took on this job around the age of 62, and you stayed with it for quite a long time, a full decade or more, actually, and now it's moving on to its next derivation. What was the decision over the last year or two to maybe make the decision that it was time to step away? I know you love to do a million different things. That must have been part of it, but take us through winding down as far as the college football playoff and your role in it is concerned.
Yeah, I love what I do. I really do. And this is my 19th season in college football, counting the 8 with the BCS, and now I'm finishing my 10th with CFP. I did love it, but there are more things to do out there. And I kept having friends who got to be my age and
Right.
they couldn't do what they wanted to do. Maybe their health went south or whatever. And I decided about 5 years ago that I needed to really think about retiring. And then the pandemic hit, or 4 years ago, then the pandemic hit, and I thought, I've got to see the company through the pandemic.
Right.
And we did that. We got through that. And then it was time to think about expanding the CFP. And I thought, oh man, I need to help the company through, get the expanded format in place. And before I knew it, I was heading to be 73 years old, way longer than I ever intended to work. But I just thought, man, now's the time. Went to the board and said, I really need to step down, and I'll stay as long as you want me to help the new guy. But it's time for me to go on to the next chapter while I still can. And Nikki and I have great plans for retirement. I have no sadness, no emotion, frankly. I love what I do, but it's just time for another chapter.
It is indeed, and you've had other chapters too. You're a huge fan of the Olympics, and you've sort of not have volunteered basically to work at the Olympics often to get involved in that over the years.
Yeah, how lucky am I? I started in 1984 in Los Angeles and working as a volunteer for the U.S. Olympic Committee as a PR person. And when I came home from that Olympics, I thought, this was the most awesome thing I have ever been a part of. I will never get to do it again, I know, but at least I got to do it once. And Paris this summer will be my 16th Olympics. And Olympics is a little bit like dog years. You know, that's 16 is a lot of Olympicses.
Right. It is indeed. And that's another remarkable amount of memories to share. And also, you're sort of the keeper of the flame as far as Hobart, Oklahoma is concerned as well. You wrote a book or edited a book about it. Tell us a little bit about this day in Hobart.
Yeah, I did put out a book about the history of Hobart, and I picked 365 days a year and wrote about something in one paragraph, about something momentous that happened on those days in Hobart, every day of the year. And my dad loved our hometown. When he passed away, he was proud of the fact that he had known at least one member of every graduating class in the history of Hobart. And my brother was a Hobart person and loved it. And I got that gene. And I suppose I'm kind of the resident historian of Hobart. About once a month or a couple of months, the librarian or a school teacher will call me and say, Bill, can you tell me about this, when this happened in Hobart, when the circus came to town in 1912? And I kind of know that. And I'll tell them where the circus ground was and the elephant parade down the street. And yeah, I guess I'm the Hobart historian.
So you say you do have big plans and that you will have a full and enjoyable retirement. Tell me about some of those.
Well, travel. There's so many places we haven't been. We've been to a lot of great places.
Right.
Last March, for example, we went to Antarctica.
Wow.
Which was unbelievable. But there's still places we haven't been. Good grief, I've never been to Hannibal, Missouri, for crying out loud.
It's cool. So, it's fun.
Yeah, I hear that. So there's a lot of places we want to go. And we actually had planned our first trip, and we're a couple of days from putting the deposit down. on a trip of a lifetime to Israel when October 7th happened.
Oh, wow.
And I just hope someday things will settle down enough so that Nikki and I can visit the Holy Land. But Europe, there's a Band of Brothers tour. I'm a big fan of the book and the series, of course. And there's a tour where you can start in Normandy and go across France and into Germany and retrace the footsteps of Easy Company. I want to do that.
Wow.
I want to learn Photoshop. I want to get really good on my computer. I want to learn how to play piano again. I'm decent at it, but I want to get good at it again. So, man, so many things to do. I want to read books. I'm a big reader now, but Bob Bowlesby told me something about his retirement from Big 12. He said, Bill, you're going to love it because there's so many books out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so he and I exchanged book lists already. But he said, I read a book a week probably. And I said, I just don't have time for that. Well, he said, you will. So I hear about these people, Danny, who are bored or unhappy in retirement. And I feel so sorry for them.
Right.
But that ain't going to be me.
I imagine it ain't going to be you. And you are obviously looking ahead, but in looking back, what a full and satisfying life. Certainly it had its twists and turns and things that you would never, ever wish on anybody. But on the whole, it's been quite, to use a metaphor, a ride for you.
Yeah, amazing. I've gotten to do things and go places that I never would have dreamed when I was a kid back in Hobart. And it's all most of it's because of sports. And as a non-athlete, I owe so much to sports. Nikki and I do. And we don't take that for granted. We're just very lucky.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
the 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence, great food, finely crafted beers, cocktails, and great sports viewing in a friendly and comfortable atmosphere. Join Matt Llewellyn and his great staff at 23rd and Castle in Lawrence.